Hello, YouTube. It's Black Tiger Miner here. Welcome you guys back to the Black Tiger Miner YouTube channel. And as you can see, no Casper shirt today. So now we're talking about Dynex. Should we continue to use Dynex or continue Dynex mining after what happened yesterday? So I've been looking at some articles and doing my research, of course, right? I'm going to figure out what happened, and I wanted to show you a posting I got from a Reddit forum. And in the Reddit forum, I mentioned that there was problems with the Mad Lib. I think that was Sunday, either Sunday or Monday. I think it was Sunday night, I guess. But I'll show you the article, and I think it started happening Sunday. And someone mentioned to upgrade to SRB 2.34, but I'll put that in the um, screen so you guys can see it, and then we could go over that. But if we look at the price of Dynex, currently in the last hour, it's up 0.1%. In the last 24 hours, it's up 1.73%. In the last 7 days, it's up 12.33%. And the last 30 days, it's up 59.12. And the last 90 days, it's up 462.5%. And total supply is 100 million. Max supply is 100 million. And the total cap is 84 million. 24-hour high is 0.799. A 24-hour low is 0.799, and the 24-hour high is 0.86. So at one point it was at $1 or above, and then it kind of dipped back down. So let me know your thoughts about Dynex and how you feel about it in the comments. And we'll check out, this is the video. Sorry, this is the posting they put out on Twitter, I guess yesterday. Actually, this was today at 4 in the morning. So I want to say it is China based because I saw another article and it was referencing them, and it was also early in the morning. So Dynex says the network downtime post mortem. The previous 24 hours have been challenging to say the least. We faced several network issues caused by scheduled and announced network maintenance in our DC, which is a data center which has gone entirely sideways. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Something like this hurts our miners and our community. Of course, right? We've been mining and all of a sudden the MATLib wouldn't connect. I had some error messages, but I didn't take a picture. I wish I did so I could put that on here, but I didn't. Our project, our project and everybody involved needs at all costs to be prevented. Out of control mistake during the maintenance led to significant exhausting the max, allowing counts of prepared DB statements, which is something only our database cluster operator is able to restore. Static statements have been working and applied changes in the code to prevent going forward. Updates have been deployed to all pools and operators. Having that said, the further increases the urgent need to even more redundancy as the first step, which I instructed already to be deployed. But more importantly, we need to accelerate the process to remove the MALlib. I thought it was MADlib. It's MADlib, isn't it? Entirely from the mining software, which is correct. I don't know why you have to connect to this weird endpoint to do this anyway. I mean, I like it that it's a proof of work, proof of useful work. Our team has been already since while on embedded the PoUW data flow streamless into the Stratum protocol, which is commonly used for pools. Currently, ETL for testing is 4 weeks. We should put all our weight in the finalizing of the current ETA is around 4 weeks. We will put all our weight in finalizing asset ASAP. This means that in the near future, miners won't be able to connect any MALIP endpoints anymore. There will be no need for MALIP services. This is also entirely remove an ongoing MALIP stability issues miners have been facing. And that is what I'm talking about. I always have these weird errors after mining for about, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours. The endpoint won't connect, or there's a problem with the endpoint, and the message isn't really clear. All it says is you can't connect. So I checked my internet. I checked if my internet was working. I checked all kind of things, and I realized it's with the Dynex software. So let me know in the comments if you're having that problem or had that problem in the past. Looking at our plan and roadmap, we need a reliable network for the commensurance of our platform. We believe that the measures and development steps taken will also be leading us there. We also want to emphasize that we have a very clear from the beginning that Dynex is still a work on progress. Shouldn't it be a work in progress? We need to build out the ecosystem, and that takes time and effort, given what we're doing has never been done before. The results of the work is very promising. The feedback from our beta users is beyond our expectation. There's a lot to come. Finally, we have conducted a formal review of the pools and Mine Add Now, which apparently was the pool being able to communicate through the static prepared statements during these phases. As transparency is very important to us, we issue the results of this investigation and potential measures in due time. Having that said, we apologize for any inconvenience and really appreciate your continual support. Well, guys, I need a little more than that. I need something, right? More than just a message about maybe you figured out what the problem is and maybe it was a maintenance issue. First off, why are you guys using servers? I thought this was supposed to be decentralized. So there's a problem here somewhere that they're not really telling us. And second, you guys not have a PR team? Who wrote this message? Like, this message was like a dev wrote this on the side of monitoring the clusters or something, right? This doesn't even, I don't know, just doesn't seem like you have a team working on this. It seems like this is a very small team trying to maintain a really big application. So I work in IT. I was a data scientist and a data engineer and a data architect. So I know when something reads as if you don't have enough people working on this. And I'm trying to figure out how this is so profitable if you guys only have a handful of people on dev team. First issue is whenever stuff start going awry, there should have been a message or some information posted about there was a problem or there might be a problem versus people on Reddit talking about it and a lot of information in Twitter feeds, right? You could have easily just made a posting that there was a problem versus having miners restarting and checking your network and checking your internet and all kind of weird stuff. But I'll get off the rant. I'll just get back to what we have here. And this is another article from the beginning block. And it says, in the wake of the past 24 hours, Dynex team has navigated through the labyrinth of network challenges. Severe disruptions stemming from a scheduled and announced network maintenance in the main data center had prompted a candid review of the incident, the steps taken to address it, and the strategic outlook for days ahead. The preceding day has proven to be a tremendous test for the Dynex team. An expected network endeavor took an unforeseen turn, causing a series of critical network issues. There's no masking the fact that such occurrences reverberate across the mining community, the broader project, and everyone vested in success. It is a situation at all costs must be prevented from happening again. The root cause, the articulations of the situations lie in an unprecedented oversight during the maintenance process. This led to a depletion of the maximum permissionable count of prepared database statements, a pivot aspect of the network infrastructure. However, the restoration of the critical element rests solely within the purview of the specialized database cluster operator. It almost makes it seem like there's only one person that can fix this problem, which is a very bad situation to be in, or a very bad maintenance follow up plan. But I guess we'll get more information about that later. The swift action emanated to permit future incidents and recalibration of the code governance. The network has already been undertaken. Forestalling the reoccurrence and similar setbacks, the code adjustment has been diligently communicated to all pool operators. The gravity of the recent circumstances has underscored the necessity for heightened redundant measures. A proactive step in this direction has been set into motion, focusing on solidifying the network's architecture and guaranteed enhanced stability for miners and users. And the article goes on and on and on. And we'll put this in the comments as well. I wanted to get to SerpentX, I think, was talking to somebody that works with the development team. He's not a developer, but let's see what he has to say, and I'll be right back.
Now, so yesterday, I noticed basically that both my systems, or multiple systems, were having malab issues, and I just switched off the algorithm and switched to a different coin altogether.
So that
and then
would
I came
have been
back
about
on
10, 11 in the morning?
Yeah, 10, 11.
Oh,
So that would be like
perfect.
10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern
Perfect.
Standard Time. So what
There we
happened
go.
on your
Right.
end?
Okay. So the first thing we noticed was that there was some rather weird onboarding issues with the malloc, right? We were getting bounce back rates like up the wazoo. The idea was that Dynex decided that a few of the bigger pools, or at least servers that they knew would be capable, were given a high capacity version malloc, right?
Okay.
Which allowed, instead of your standard one connection a second, actually was able to sustain 50 connections a second on our server. Right now, that obviously you can see on our hash rate chart. It kind of released the network a little bit to breathe, to cope with the bounce back of everyone. In that same time, Ecopool also decided to crash, or had realized something and shut their services off so that they weren't going to cause problems. One way or the other, their hash rate went basically to zero. The only downside is every single miner that was obviously connected there had either Neuropool or our server pretty much in their malloc list. And so Neuropool got smashed. Promptly they went offline, and our server was left to be the only thing that was holding up a lot of the network at the time.
Which is why you started getting an influx.
Which is why I also deployed a shed ton more mallobs in the equation, right, to try and almost pick up the slack. They were obviously tailored around not having loads of people on them, but just enough to keep the network moving along, right? The last thing I wanted to happen was the blockchain to effectively stall out, right? Because that's terrible from a company perspective, a blockchain perspective, you know, a Dynex perspective, right? Whichever way you look at it, it wasn't the right idea, right? So basically, what we ended up finding was that there was a issue with servers onboarding, and they had to increase capacity. Well, so for the space of, I would say, the next sort of 6 hours, I would say, to about, I would say about, what's that? It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon starting time, your local time. We started to see major network hash drop off the network, right? And you can see on our hash rate chart, we went from like 50 mega hash in less than a minute in less than an hour, should I say, we were down to 30 mega hash, and within the space of 2 more hours on that, we were down to literally stalled out at 3 mega hash. And those 3 mega hash on the network were just machines that had yet to sort of disconnect at that point. Yeah, the server was dealing with so many processes, like of terminating clients off the network, that it just couldn't keep up. And so we slowly basically watched the pool die all the way to zero over the course of a 4-hour window.
Right.
Now, obviously, this is the bit where it gets a little technical, and I'm probably going to have to explain it to you. So by default, MySQL, which is what Dynex uses to store their atomic update system,
I know
for their
MySQL.
Right. Well, I don't know if you've ever used predetermined statements before in SQL.
I have not, but I had to modify predetermined statements at work.
Yeah.
For my job.
So you know the idea behind predetermined statements is that if you know what's going to be coming in each time, you can effectively remove half of the statement because that's not dynamic, right? And then it's all you're doing is effectively adding or removing or tweaking an element that's already part of that statement, but only that very one specific element. Right. Well, they ran out of predetermined SQL statements on their server. All 16,335, I believe it was, were full.
Wow.
So what that means is that either something was holding the statement active, right, and wasn't timing it out, or the miner wasn't actually timing it out from the atomic update, right? So basically their MySQL hard locked. It couldn't do what it was intending to try and do, which was actually sort itself out by dropping a ton of like database locks. The only way to undo that was to have most pools roll back and move on. Now that lasted for about an hour, and what we found was that about after an hour, the same error happened again, right? But this time, no one was around. This was about 1 a.m. my time.
Yeah.
My time, right?
Okay.
Which is, it's about 7, 8 o'clock your time ish.
Yeah, it was at night.
Yes, but it was also like 3 o'clock in the morning in Austria, where the Dynex team is. So obviously, I tried to get hold of somebody, tried my best to constantly get through. Unfortunately, it just looked like the team was unavailable at the time. Now that could be because they put their phone on silent, thinking that they had solved the issue, gone to grab few hours sleep because they thought, oh well, it's only been an hour.
Right.
Quickly go get some sleep, come back to it first thing in the morning, and get cracking. Right. Well, by the time they got back, the whole blockchain had stalled.
Right,
completely.
And that's where Son of a Tech's video came out. There was a post around 11 o'clock.
Yes.
So this is after 8 p.m. Monday when
Correct.
I noticed the issue was back.
Yes.
And I commented that I don't have the time to look into it. And
Correct.
I figured, you know what? Here's the thing, real quick, just to interrupt you. Don't lose your train of thought, though. Is pool devs and crypto mining developers for various projects have a fucking life. They have a life, and they can't sit there 24/7 in front of their computers to make sure everything is working. This is a new implementation of blockchain.
Also, is something else to think of, right? Is that when you fix something, right, you would normally give it an hour before you say, okay,
it's fixed.
System's running okay.
Yeah.
Let's quickly go grab some sleep, and we'll be in nice and early first thing in the morning.
And
right?
we'll continue working. We'll go through the logs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? That's just normal routine for that kind of scenario, right? Especially late at night or early hours of the morning, right? You just get the service back online temporarily, and then you call in the resources properly first thing in the morning for your job. Right? That's normal in most professions, right?
Right.
However, what we found was, and this is the bit that obviously needs proper context, and I'm trying to get proper context to understand it all.
Okay, hang on to that thought. Hang on to that thought, because I want to make this clear. Because we're at the 10-minute mark or 11-minute mark in this recording
Yep.
that's going to go on the YouTube channel. Anything
Yeah.
proprietary and any information proprietary, do not divulge. Yeti does not work for Dynex. Yeti is
No.
his own individual. He has a 9 to 5 and a family to take care of. He just has a pool, and he works hand in hand, or tries to work hand in hand with the Dynex team to optimize, implement, stuff like that. He also helped improve the web wallet recently, but I want to make sure it's clear. Yeti does not work for Dynex and does not represent Dynex solely. That's Sumitomo
No.
and a number of others that he's just working alongside in this wonderful world we call blockchain. So continue on.
Actually, to just add a caveat to that, I've actually been asked by Dynex to act completely independent. So there is a almost like an oversight on them,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
they've asked for that.
and
So
that's how it should be. The community is the oversight, but the problem
yeah,
is 9 times out of 10, when we come to a project with a proposal or a problem or a recommendation, they usually shoot us down. In this case, Dynex is welcoming, right? There was a little bit of push and shove at the beginning, but they're more welcoming than most projects I've bumped into, and are willing to work with the community, not just yourself either. So that's a good thing for the entire ecosystem, period. But continue on what you were saying regarding context.
so Dynex has obviously put out a formal statement about it, but they're also the bit that obviously is relevant to what I'm about to say is the bit that they're conducting a formal review, because the pool miner ad now was able to continue to mine and move the blockchain on while every other pool wasn't able to, because we were locked out of the system, so to speak. Now, Dynex doesn't understand quite all of the intricacies of this, because what it looks like is that they built their own mallob endpoint solution in Golang. Now, obviously, cross compiling and different types of source code of the same thing written in different languages is not uncommon in software. It's just a little unusual that, given that Dynex keeps that code very close to the chest at the moment, and that's changing. It's a little unnerving how they were able to have, for the best part of 8 hours, they had the entire network to themselves. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're doing anything bad, right? It could just be that how they've implemented what they were doing with their Golang version of Mallob could be the reason why it didn't crash, right? It might not rely on predetermined statements.
I'll add this video to I add this link to the video so you can watch the whole thing later. But I just wanted to get that out and get this conversation started about Dynex and the database issue. What sounds like a database lock, which means that the one pool that was open either created the lock or was able to get in before the lock started, which kind of doesn't make sense, because if the database was locked, couldn't someone have restarted the database or restarted the server? So I suspect there's more to come on this issue, but let me know what you guys think, what your thoughts are, and if you have any ideas or suggestions. But I'll let you go, and I want to see you guys in the comments. This is Black Tiger Miner signing out. Happy Tuesday, and let's get back to the money.